going back to the, I said anecdotally that a lot of the tribal people, they tell this story about some Israelites moving to the east. So one of the stories is that at the time of the Prophet Mohammed ﷺ, there was a delegation which came from that region, Afghanistan. They heard about this message. They came over, and obviously the Arabs knew about the Israelites.
The white Arabs.
Yeah. So, but I don't know.
Okay.
The story doesn't
if you know, just say.
The story doesn't talk about the color of the people, right?
It's very important to me, and I'll let you know why.
Pakistan as well. So those people who are traditionally seen as the more, tribal, whatever, their religion they proclaim as Islam. But if you go back to like the villages and you speak to the elders, all of them have this thing that they have heard their grandparents, great-great-grandparents tell them, is that we came here like 2,000-3,000 years ago when the tribes were...
Some of them still do.
What tribes?
At the time of King David, he had a son.
Yeah. King David, because I want these bullet points for people to hear.
King David had a son. Apparently in the Bible there's a son by the name of Afghana, something like that. This is all like, a lot of it is speculation, but they say that they migrated east and some of them settled in that region, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan. Some may have gone even further east to China, maybe some went to Japan. But if you look at in those tribal societies, whilst Sharia, which is the Islamic law, is obviously part of the custom, there are codes of conduct outside of Sharia which are entrenched in their society. So in the Pashtun culture, there's something called Pashtunwali. And there's a big emphasis on honor. They take it to the extreme way in the sense that they're all going like honor killings, all of that stuff to another level. There's this emphasis on honoring your guest to the extreme as well. So one of the reasons why the Taliban, they didn't give up Osama bin Laden is they were like, look, he may have done something, we're willing to try him here, but
we're not going to hand him over.
We can't kick him out of the country because he came here for sanctuary. And in Hebrew, Israelite, whatever you want to call it, those cultures...
don't worry. What we're not just say. Let it be established. So, anyone can say whatever they like, but let's speak all words,
and especially in Afghanistan, on taking care of your guests, right? So that's why they couldn't do it. Regardless, even if it meant death for them, they couldn't expel their guests. There are other tenets of Pashtunwali which are outside of Islam, which do not agree with Sharia. A lot of the times, they're more extreme than Sharia.
Give me an example.
So the issue of in Islam, for example, when a non-married person commits adultery, you're supposed to flog them. In Pashtun cultures, if a non-married person commits adultery, stoning is the first thing that happens. So this is one of the extreme examples.
They do that in Nigeria too. I think they stone people in Jamaica too. What do you mean they don't think so? Check it properly. It may not be as big as you think, but
so there's this. Live. This is obviously the extreme I'm talking about, right? So this is one negative aspect of that thing, but there are other. For us, and nowadays, no one would like to stone someone.
Hebrew culture, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that was part of the culture at some point. So anyway, they say that they migrated east, they settled in this harsh region, and a lot of them, if you look at the Pashtuns or the Afghans, whoever you want to call, they have very similar features. A lot of them, no offense to Jews, but the noses are quite big. They have light eyes.
You mean like mine? That's an offense, man.
Yours is not
that
big.
You're telling me my nose is big? You say my nose is big, Jelly? What's going on there, though?
That was one aspect, the Ashkenazi, who were the European converts. So maybe that was the branch that moved over there. So they have a fairer skin. A lot of them are fairer skin, right? So some of them are darker, as you know, in Moses or those North African places.
How did the fairer skin come about?
I don't know how to. According to the Nation of Islam, 6,000 years ago, Dr. Yaqub experimented. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that question again? How did what come about?
How did light skin come about?
The mix sort of
in Afghanistan, you mean? Or generally, globally?
Globally, yeah.
Okay.
Generally. No, so I'm just, if you Google Afghan lost tribes, if you go, you find a lot of information. There's a lot of professors in Hebrew
tell me you're
universities who have looked at this, they've done some DNA testing, all of that stuff. But my point is that anecdotally, there are people who talk about this stuff, regardless of from an academic perspective. Great-great-grandfather says, son, we're Muslim, but we came from the lost tribes. That's what they say. So, and the irony is that the Taliban, who are so extreme in their Islam, their forefathers were probably Jews.
Well, I think there's context which you're all talking about, but you know, it's I like context and that relative.
But this stuff you can. There's a lot of academia about it. Yeah, I can't. I need to refresh.
I need you to be a bit here. Come, so we can catch a bit. I beg you. The brother is the main speaker. So come closer to him, guys. Ask him whatever, but yeah, just so we can hear him all.
By the way, I'm not an academic. This is something that.
No, it's all right. We're not. None of us are academic. Well, some are. Some are. Yeah. Sorry, brother. Sorry, bro. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, we brothers on the streets. I like to say I'm the dumbest in my family. I didn't intend to be nothing like this. All I wanted to do was play football. I'm only doing this because those who are academics ain't doing it. That's why I'm doing it. You understand? But otherwise, I'm just a footballer. That's all I did. That's all I ever did. They put all the books in front of me. I sweep them away and go over there. Now I know brothers who remember everything, who would teach me and lecture me, but they're not here. They're not here. And I still see some of us as smarter than me, but it's the interest and the passion. It's the interest and the passion and maybe the courage. The courage. I ain't nothing. If Brother Bilal would be like Ty, I'm gonna do the thing you do. I know you can do it better. Trust me. I'll be over there chatting with people already. Seriously. That's me. But when it's not there, I like, okay, somebody has to step in there. I'm not there, you know. So honestly speaking, why we listen to Brother Amu is because we've always contended that history has always been turned on its head, you know, and it just takes a bit of looking. For me, when I was a child, like 11, 10, 12, I used to be so fascinated by just being able to put pictures of people from Africa. Like I would line it up in a circular or cyclical kind of a pattern. And it was so easy to see how you can start from like Africa and people will look like, you know, maybe like this brethren here or Jedi there, or, you know, real dark and rough features. And then as you start to go, either this way it starts to get lighter and finer, and then get down into the South Americas, then it'd be like people like you. But then people like you were also on that side, in the Afghanistans and the Asians. And then you get to Mexico and South America, and then there's the repetition. And then as soon as you leave it, it's back to the Negro. And you're like, hold on, how did, you know, what happened? And then, you know, that fascinated me. I knew there was some connection between humanity. But when you come into Western education, they always, the whites are always saying, I mean, the whites gone away by, in one way, saying, we come from evolution, some, you know, evolution BS.
No, they did.
Well, and I'm going to go into that as a supporter of what you say, in one way. And then the other way is they're carrying the Bible. And you're like, which one are you? You say it's you in the Bible, then you say it's you who evolved at the same time. But the Bible says we came from a creator. So it's confusion. And then you come from Africa or a third world country, the whites are supposed to be the teacher, but they're teaching confusion. Are they Confucius? You know? And then fella said, teacher, don't teach me nonsense. And I ascribe to that. I'm like, teacher, don't teach me nonsense. Be clear with what you're saying here.
What do you think they killed the guy for?
Thank you very much.
Going back to the, you know, I said anecdotally, a lot of the tribal people, they tell this story about some Israelites moving to the east. So one of the stories is that at the time of the Prophet Mohammed ﷺ, there was a delegation which came from that region, Afghanistan. They heard about this message. They came over, and obviously the Arabs knew about the Israelites.
The white Arabs.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. No,
okay.
The story doesn't.
If you know, just say.
The story doesn't talk about the color of the people, right?
It's very important to me, and I'll let you know why.
The story doesn't talk about the color. It just talks about a delegation coming from the region of Afghanistan. The leader, his name is Qiz. And then
Kiss or Chris?
Qiz. So he says to them, to the Prophet, he said, we are of Israeli lineage, is Hebrew lineage, and we came.
I beg you, start again. This is just for me. I don't care about this brethren here. Yeah.
So
he called himself Kish,
yes.
and
Kish,
he says, and he came as a delegation from.
Well, some narrations say Qiz, some narrations say Kish. This is a story amongst the Islamic community in Afghanistan.
So you're saying an Islamic delegation came?
No, a delegation of non-Muslims came to the Prophet. They heard about his message from
Sorry.
Afghanistan to the
So in the time of the
region
Prophet, a community of Afghanis
came
them
from Afghanistan.
Yes,
to visit the Prophet.
through the Arabian Peninsula.
Okay.
They met somewhere.
Okay.
And then the Prophet said, "Where are you coming from?" He said, "We're coming from here. We speak." And I can't remember if they actually talk about if they spoke Hebrew or not. By that point, maybe the Hebrew was diluted because they've been there for like 1,000, 2,000 years. And then he changes his name. He says, "Now that you have accepted Islam, your new name is Qais, which is an Arabic name." Yeah. So Qais Abdul Rashid, which is the name given to that person who accepted Islam. He goes back to Afghanistan and he starts preaching this Islam at the time, whatever it was.
Where is this from?
This is folklore Afghan. It's not specific. It's not like a hadith or anything.
So what you're saying basically, summary is, I think, people who thought they were some of the tribes of Israel, then accepted Islam, and then they forgot their own name and heritage and became Muslims, basically.
And with generations, that dilutes. You forget about your origins.
Yeah.
They knew that they were of Israeli or Hebrew lineage. They were proud of it. They came to an agreement that, okay, we believe in one God also. We believe in certain things, so we accept your message. They didn't denounce their
own tribe, heritage,
their own
or
traditions, because we can see we can see now that Islam hasn't completely taken away those traditions. They're still there.
I'm gonna come in there. That's why I said, that the real Prophet Mohammed was a black person. That's why I say that. And I mean, I don't know what this knowledge is dropping like this firsthand.
I've heard this before.
Okay, great. But I can piece stuff together from books and history, yeah? Because if they're Israelites, they know they're Israel. The real Israelites are black. You understand? The real Israelites are black. So they're coming out of Afghanistan, which we know are black people, with a lower tan. Yeah, like I am. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a reality. So they come down because it's not only because they hate Islam, because they hate one of their own. Because anyone who studied history after Christ would have understood that there was revelations that we're expecting the Messiah. And the book is saying when you hear that he's in the desert or in the cave, don't you go out there, because his return will be like, what's it called, like a thunder, in the sky. Everybody will see it, yeah. But we were always still looking for our Moses to lead us out of the captivities, out of the persecution that we were facing. You only need to read some of these books to see some of this history. That we understood there's our civilization where we inhabited, if we didn't make it, straight from Ethiopia onto India. So the Jews were there. They knew they were there. Yeah? So 127 provinces, and the Jews were given free reign. But like they did in the Indias with the Rajis and the Guptas, who were black people, it was to get rid of black, regardless of what religion we were. So with such an onslaught, since the time of King David, who was already crying out that, look, these people want to destroy our nation, Psalm 83. They want to make our name not remembered no more. You understand? So we're facing persecution as far as India, because before we got redeemed under the king of Shushan, we were almost all right. Then he made a decree that nobody should touch us. Anyone who touches us going to face his wrath. But okay, remove that king, then we can have the wrath back on us, right? So our people over there then hear that it looks like maybe some acceptable group has sprung up in Arabia, that if we become part of it, we'll be just fine. That's the only thing that would make a delegation go to seek out that group and say, hey, we heard, Queen Sheba heard about King Solomon. Well, don't tell me that a white queen in England is hearing about a black king in Africa and just goes to sleep with him. It must look like you as well. There must be some affinity there. There must be some affinity there. The Queen of Denmark, if they've got one there, or king or whatever, ain't gonna just go to Africa and say, King of Zululand, I heard about your fame and your money. Can I sleep with you and let's have children? It gotta have some affinity. That can happen between China and Japan and Taiwan. It's all right. It can happen between Mexico, Peru, Brazil, Venezuela. That's fine. But you won't cross over from India into Uganda as close as we are in lineage. The Indians will just keep themselves, you know what? So what we're saying is there must have been something that made the Pashtuns of Afghanistan seek out the Muhammad in Mecca. There must have been some affinity there. Yeah, and that Muhammad, the real Muhammad, was black. The real one is black. We maintain that all day long. That's why they made a decree in one of their hadiths, which says anyone who says Muhammad was black, kill him. It's in the hadith. We got it. We struggled to bring it out last week because my memory is low.
That won't be in hadith. That might be in scholarly works. It won't be in hadith.
Well, what is a hadith? We went into the definition of a hadith. It is a hadith. It may not be an accepted hadith.
I don't think you'll find us a hadith.
Brother, I don't go into argue. That's why I call the scholars to the table. Outside here is madness. Come to the table. They won't last 5 minutes. And I don't know nothing. Honestly. They won't last 5 minutes. I don't know anything. Just so you don't come there thinking no, I don't know anything, but they still won't last 5 minutes. Why not? Because we're coming with sensibility. We don't use common sense, we use wisdom.
You got to pay for that advertising, you know.
You're going to pay seriously for that. We're going to pay seriously for that, you know? But there you go. We know the real Muhammad. There was a Muhammad in is it Senegal or Mali? Uncle Muhammad in this century. And they locked the brother up and then they killed him. And he's a Muslim.
Why did they kill him?
Because he wrote a book called The Second Coming or Second Prophecy or Second Revelation of Prophet Mohammed or Islam. His name is called Muhammad, they call him Muhammad Taha, Ustaz Muhammad Taha.
And what was in the book?
In the book was that there's what Islam was teaching, the real Islam, and what we have today is not the same thing.
Tell us about the real Islam.
Not me, him.
Tell us what he said about the real Islam.
Well, he was pointing out that the real Islam is humanitarian first, not political, not white between black, north between south, so-called Arabia against Africa, and the denigration of a people's history in favor of a political manifestation.
Let me ask you something. So you say that there was no difference, the real Islam had nothing to do with color, right? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying?
No.
But you said something about race.
Yeah,
what did
I
you
mean,
say?
this Muhammad Ustaz, who I haven't read the book, I've watched a few clips and saw how they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Because on the earth, they don't like anyone who speaks for humanity. They would rather you say, peace by all means and carry a gun. Because that's the only way they maintain peace, with guns and weapons. There's peace when we're all dead. Yeah?
But why does it, like you talk about the Prophet being black, why does that matter? If he was
The real
black,
Prophet.
White? But why does it matter if he was black, white, orange?
No, because it would reorient you to thinking. Because the way the white people think and the way the black people think is two different things. If it were not like that, they wouldn't separate the dark people into different continents and keep themselves apart to different continents. And don't forget that up to the 1960s, they were still referring to black people as monkeys living in a tree. They don't consider us
that
human.
separation you're talking about, part of it may have. How do you know which part it was deliberate and which part was migrational patterns, which part was? You don't know. Are you saying that white people went to here and black people were pushed out somewhere else?
I brought a book. It just shows you something. I don't know where I put the book now. Which bag is it? Let me just read something quickly. If it's here. Try and see if it's here. It's called the Children's Encyclopedia. Yeah? Volume 1. Yeah?
Don't forget your own cameras all the time.
Oh, look at me now.
Neglecting your own channel.
You know what I mean? Anyway, anyone can go and get this old thing. I just got this up in now, yeah? One second. It tells you that, I mean, you can read a lot more books on history, yeah? It tells you that what? Read for me, brother.
The white races pouring from Asia into Europe.
The white races, yeah? Pouring from where?
Asia into Europe.
The white races were pouring from Asia into Europe. I didn't write it, they know. I've got other books that tells you in the whole of Russia, there was a region for black Russians, not immigrants, and white Russians. The whites call themselves the Great White Race. The Great White Race. It's in the book, I've got it. You understand? So we keep collecting tiny, and this one is for children. This book is for children. Children are supposed to know this stuff, but our adults don't know this stuff. Anytime we talk, they think we're lying. Well, if the white races are pouring into Europe, who was there first? Who was there first? And they didn't even pour into Europe like they were anything. India itself, from where they're supposed to be pouring in and out. Blessings, brother. You know, from where they were supposed to be pouring out was made up of black people. We still watch a history on the population of the world. It tells you that everywhere was black. But what we're saying, if Muhammad even existed, there's just no more probability than that he was black. It just got to be black. Put your money down on that at the bookies. If the bookies would take bets, he was black. Put your money on black. He was black, he is black. That's why Islam has a better resonance in Africa than anywhere else. I mean, when I say Africa, I include Asia. Asia are Africans. Before the continent split up, you need to have a look at what we're talking about. Before the continent split up under the great flood of the earth, Africans and Asians are the same family of people. We got to spread out. So Muhammad, like Jesus, must have been black. Muhammad, like Malcolm X, must have been black. Muhammad, like Mandela, must have been black. Muhammad, like Michael Jackson, must have been black. Must have been black. Must have been black. Must have been black. Yeah, but it can't.
Two white people can't make a black.
Cannot,
so
never.
That's telling you
What happened? Exactly.
So if you've got any sense on you, you know straight away.
You add 2 and 2 together.
Why does it matter if he was black? That's
Oh,
my
the
question.
color is not what matters, brother. The color is not what matters.
But that's what you've been saying.
I
black,
know,
black,
but you know, because we be conditioned to only hear that. Yeah. Unfortunately, when they come to Africa with big posters of Jesus, we never say, why is it always a white Jesus? Why is it not a Chinaman? But when you ask any Christian pastor, what did Jesus really look like? Yeah.
Did you just say color doesn't matter?
No, he's saying why
is that
does it
empty?
matter?
Yeah, why does it matter?
Well, why it doesn't matter? I mean, why is it Jesus painted white then? Why is he
Exactly.
painted white?
I understand there are
Well, in the Bible,
implications for
in the Bible, it states what color it was.
But I'm saying, why is Ty keep saying?
Why do I highlight
why
that
do you
so
highlight
much?
that?
He wants my explanation, not that he disagrees with me.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's not important. I'm saying why do you?
So why it matters is because, you know, there's at least 2 platforms why color matter. Some of you, I'm plugging Sarah now. Some of you might have heard Sarah say the black man is superior. Not because he came here to say it, because he was pushed to answer a question. Because these light-skinned brethren felt threatened that blacks are getting together and thinking they are. But when we said, I came here down years ago, and I said to one brother, I said, Mohammed, the prophet, was a black man. He just went, I'm like, what's wrong with the prophet being a black man? He said, well, it's nothing really wrong, but he wasn't black. So I'm like, so what was he? Well, we are not sure, but he wasn't black. You're not sure, but he just wasn't black. So what was he? Well, he was Arab. Well, brother, Arab is not a color. Which one, the black Arabs? Well, he was Middle Eastern. Well, Middle Eastern ain't a color either. Well, he was olive skin. Well, there are 2 types of olives, the green and the black. Choose bloody one. And they keep, Do you know that the pattern of history, whenever it tells you that we don't know what a person looks like, do you know why they say it? Come on, guys. The chorus, I expect the chorus now.
They're black.
Because they're black. Every time they tell you they don't know what a person looks like,
It's got to be hidden.
but he's in history, it's because he's black.
And that can't be allowed.
It's a pattern. It's a repetitive pattern. They say don't paint the image of Prophet Mohammed in Islam. Well, why? Because he's black.
But in the hadiths, they talk about Moses as being a black man, right? So they talk about it. It's not like they're hiding that. So the scholars back then would highlight if someone was a black man. They also say in the Quran it says we made Adam out of black clay.
Yeah.
So Imam al-Shawkani, which is one of the classical scholars, he says therefore Adam was black.
Fine
So
enough.
there
Fair
are
enough.
scholars who talk about this.
Yeah, but
So
what,
not everyone is hiding.
what about Muhammad? Was he black?
I don't know.
This is the thing. We're saying we know. Why don't they face present modern day? Why always Jesus was black? Well, Jesus had people, right? So who are the people of that Jesus you worship, that you say you accept? Even in Islam, they say they accept a Jesus. Which one was it? Do you believe that the Jesus was a Caucasian, white Jewish man? Or was he a Negro Israelite? No, Jewish ain't a color. Jewish don't tell you anything.
Jewish is a colour.
It's a color.
It's a colour. What colour is this man? Jewish is not.
I'll let
colour.
him explain himself.
No.
Because if
Tell
I
me, how many colours are there?
colors,
You keep talking about
infinite.
green and black and brown. I say there are black men, there are white men, and there are brown men.
No, no.
Roughly. And there are yellow men.
No, you're right, but that's not the only colors that exist. Brother Hamo, link up again, you know. I beg, round of applause for Brother Hamo, because he dropped some serious info for us. Brother Hamo, link here, I beg you.